Hi, welcome to Yoga Today. My name is Devin Bailey. This is a gentle flow Yin Yoga class where we will be flowing gently from one posture to the next. Each posture will hold for a few minutes, about 3 to 5, in order to get deeper into the shape. We'll be using our breath and we'll be bringing awareness to how our body feels in each shape. For this class, you may want to grab onto a blanket or a thin pillow, as we might use it during class. We're going to get started in child's pose. Bring your big toes together, and you can either have your knees together or your knees apart, wider than your hips, about as wide as your mat. With your hips down on your heels, begin to crawl your fingertips forward to bring your chest down towards the ground. Release the forehead down towards the mat as well. Once you're down there, begin to rock the forehead gently side to side, releasing the back of the neck and the space in between your shoulder blades. Let the arms, the hips, and the shoulders get really heavy down towards your mat and relax through the belly. All the muscles in the abdomen release here, getting nice and soft. Bring your forehead to center and begin to crawl your fingertips a little bit further forward towards the top of your mat, creating length in your arms. If there's any pain in your knees here, you can grab onto that blanket and fold it long ways. And place that blanket in between your calves and your thighs. And that'll bring some pressure off of your knees. We're going to stay here for about 5 more big breaths. Breathing in through your nose and either out through your nose or your mouth, whatever feels more natural for you here. Let each breath be a little bit deeper than the one before it. And now seal your lips if they're not already. Just breathe in and out through your nose. Begin to crawl your fingertips over to the right. So still staying in your child's pose, the fingers are crawling over to the right. The left hip presses down towards your left heel. Release your forehead down towards the ground. Send your inhales into left side body, feeling the left side rib cage expand up and out with every inhale. And then as you exhale, relax the shoulders, especially that left shoulder down towards the ground. We'll take about 5 more breaths over here, in and out through the nose. Notice how the breath is moving. And if you feel the breath creating any kind of space anywhere specific in the body. On your next inhale, begin to crawl your fingertips back through center and over to the left. Press your right hip back and down towards your right heel. If you have the space here, you can stack your right hand on top of your left hand. Release your forehead down towards the floor. And now relax your shoulders, especially that right shoulder. Take some deep breaths, inhaling into right side body, feeling the rib cage move up and out as you inhale. And relax the belly, the hips, and the shoulders as you exhale. About 3 more deep breaths over here. Begin to crawl the hands back through center. And on your next inhale, rise up into a tabletop position. It should feel really nice on your knees after that compression to get some fresh blood flow. Straighten out through your arms. Knees are underneath your hips here. We're going to move into some gentle cat-cow tilts. So as you inhale, drop the belly down towards the floor. Lift your hips, your chest, and the crown of your head up. As you exhale, press into your hands and your knees and round through your spine, bringing your navel up towards the back body. Inhale to drop the belly down. Lift the hips, the heart, and the head. Exhale, begin to round through the spine, rippling this movement like away from the tailbone all the way up to the base of your skull. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the hips, cow. Exhale, press into the ground, round, tucking the tailbone down, cat. A couple more times here. Using your inhale to drop the belly and exhale to round the spine. Using the entire breath to move from one shape to the next. On your next inhale, stop in the center. Spread your fingers really wide. Tuck the toes, and we're going to come into a downward facing dog. So pressing into the fingertips, lift the hips up and back. You're coming into an upside down V shape. Press the heels down towards the ground, and you can have a bend in the knees here if you need. Shake the head yes and no. Just relax through the neck and the shoulders. And if this feels like too much for you, this downward facing dog, at any point during class, feel free to come into a child's pose or tabletop instead. We're going to take about 3 more breaths here. Press through your fingertips, lift the hips up even higher. Relax the face. On your next exhale, bring the knees back down towards the ground. Untuck the toes and bring the hips down towards your heels. Child's pose, forehead comes down. As you inhale, rise up into a tabletop and go straight into your cow. So dropping the belly, lifting the heart and the hips. As you exhale, press into your mat and round through your spine for cat. Inhale, come into a neutral spine, tuck the toes, and exhale, downward facing dog. Hips come up and back. Drop the head in between the arms. Just take 2 big breaths here, in and out through the nose. On your next exhale, release the knees back down towards the ground. Untuck the toes. Hips come back onto the heels. Child's pose. Inhale, rise up. From tabletop, go right into your cow spine on that inhale. And exhale, press the ground away. Round the spine for cat. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. 2 big breaths here. We're setting up this flow, which we'll use to move from shape to shape into our yin postures for the duration of the class. Next, exhale, bring your knees back down towards the ground. Untuck the toes. Hips come back towards your heels, child's pose. Inhale, rise up for cow, scooping the heart forward and up. Exhale, press into your mat and round your spine. Inhale, find a neutral spine. Tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 full breaths here. Next, exhale, knees come down. Hips come back, untuck the toes. Child's pose. We'll move through 1 more time. Inhale, come up for cow. Exhale, round for cat. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 big breaths. Release the knees down towards the ground. Come into your child's pose. Crawl the fingers forward towards the front of the mat. Release the forehead down. This time, press the palms together out in front of you. Begin to bend at the elbows so that the fingertips come up towards the ceiling, or the thumbs might come towards the back of the neck. If this feels uncomfortable in your shoulders for any reason, then feel free to straighten your arms back out in front of you, or draw your arms down by your sides, palms facing up. We're going to stay here for about 10 breaths. If you need that blanket, you can again place it in between your calves and your thighs. If you want a deeper stretch through your shoulders and your chest, crawl your elbows one at a time further forward towards the top of your mat. About 5 more breaths here. To come out, straighten the arms forward and press into the hands and the knees. Rise up into a tabletop. Remove that blanket if you had it over your legs and put it off to the side. If you'd like, you can use the blanket underneath your knees. We will be on our knees a bit during class, so it might be a nice cushion. So from your tabletop, use some core strength to pull your right foot in between your hands towards your right hand. Crawl the right foot forward, kind of inching it forward with your toes until it's in line with your hands if it did not go there right away. Then tuck your left toes and inch your left leg back a little bit. You can tent up on your fingertips here if you need to bring a little bit more space into your arms. Or you can have your palms flat. Untuck your left toes and let the hips drop forward and down. This is baby dragon, a prep for dragon pose, which we'll go to in a little bit. Lift the collarbones. Squeeze the shoulder blades closer together. And lift the chin slightly away from the chest without crunching in the back of your neck. If it feels okay in your neck, then you can begin to bring the chin forward towards the chest. This is one of those postures that can feel pretty intense in the hips. So if you need to take a break, you're welcome to rock back and straighten out that right leg. And then when you're ready, come back into it. Your breath is a really good indicator of how you're doing in each shape. So if the breath starts to get really quick and short, it probably means that you need a little break, recalibrate the breath, and then come back in. We're looking for long, deep, and sustained breath patterns here. So full inhales and complete exhales. We'll take about 4 more breaths here. And if it helps, close your eyes, bringing the attention inwards, focusing here on how the breath is moving and how the shape feels in your body. Begin to press into your right heel, press into the hands, and bring the right knee back to meet the left, back into your tabletop. Here you can take a couple cat-cow tilts in between sides if that feels nice. And we'll move over to the left side. Pressing into the hands, use some core strength to lift the left knee kind of up towards the elbow And then place the left foot in between the hands. Again, you can inch that foot forward until it's in line with your hands. It might not go there right away. And then drop into your hips by bending the left knee over your left heel. Tuck the right toes and inch the right knee back a little bit further so that you feel a stretch across your right quad and hip flexor. Tent up on your fingertips if you'd like here. You can also come onto your fists or flat down onto your palms. Let the hips drop forward and down. Squeeze the shoulder blades back and down as you lift the collarbones up. Notice if this side feels different from the other side. And that's okay if it does. It's good information for us to know. Again, if this becomes really intense, especially if there's any shooting, sharp pains, stabbing pains at all, then adjust, come out of it, and if it feels okay, then you can come back in. We'll take about 5 more breaths here. If you did so on the other side and it feels okay on the neck, drop the chin down towards your chest. From here, press into your left heel, press into the hands, shift the hips back, and bring the left knee back next to your right knee for tabletop. Bring the big toes together, drop the hips back, find a child's pose. 2 breaths here. On your next inhale, come up into a tabletop. Come right into your cow spine, lifting the heart. Exhale, round into your cat spine. Inhale, find a neutral spine. Tuck the toes. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. So this flow sequence will find in between most shapes. And it's like a little reset for the body. You can pedal out the feet here by bending one knee and then the other. Then on your next exhale, bring the knees back down towards the ground. From here, use your core strength once again to bring the right foot now on the outside of the right hand. And you can just inch it over, heel toe it over to wherever you need it to go. So it's kind of on the edge of your mat here. Press into your hands, tuck the left toes, and inch that left knee back. So dropping the hips further down towards your mat here. You can stay up on your hands in your dragon, or you can begin to come down onto your forearms if you have the space for it. Again, if this is too intense for your body right now, then just come back up onto your hands. Or baby dragon is always an option, like we just did. Untuck the left toes if they're still tucked. And we're going to hang out here for about 5 breaths. Pull the right knee in towards your right shoulder. Think about pressing the chest forward, opening up through the front line of the body. And if it feels all right on your neck, drop the chin down towards your chest. You can stay right here if this is feeling good in your body. Another option for the remainder of our dragon is winged dragon, which is where we'll turn the right toes out about 45 degrees and then come onto the outer edge of the right foot so the arch of the foot lifts up. The right knee opens up in the same direction as the toe, so make sure the knee and the toes are facing the same direction. And then drop the hips down towards your mat. Another 5 breaths here. Begin to bring that right knee back in. Turn the toes to face forward and come up onto your palms if you are down on your forearms. Bring the right knee back next to your left knee and take a couple cat-cow tilts in between sides. Really gentle here. Come into your neutral spine. And now bring the left foot on the outside of the left hand. And again, if you need to bring it into the center and then heel toe it out, whatever you need to do to get it there is just fine. And tuck your toes and bring the right knee back, inching the right knee back just a little bit. Again, that blanket is really nice to have under the knee for this one. Untuck the right toes. You can stay up on your palms here or drop down onto your forearms if this left hip is allowing it. Pull the left knee in towards the left shoulder to start. Lengthen through the front line of your body by drawing the collarbones forward towards the top edge of your mat. Releasing the hips down towards your mat. Using the breath. Again, notice how the breath is moving. If it begins to come quick and short, then try to intentionally smooth it out. And if it's just not working for you in this posture, then that might mean that it's time to work your way out. Drop your chin towards your chest if that feels okay on your neck. And we'll take about 3 more breaths here. If you did so on the other side, turn your left toes out about 45 degrees. Come onto the outer edge of the left foot and turn the inner arch up. Allow the knee to fall open in the same direction as the toes. If you need to come up onto your palms for this, that might help to create more space through the left hip. About 5 more breaths here in your winged dragon. If you need to come out before those 5 breaths, then do so. Just make sure that you're listening to what your body needs. Begin to come up onto your palms if you are on your forearms. Turn the left toes to face forward, bring the left knee in. Press into the palms and bring the left knee back to meet the right. Here, draw the hips down towards the heels, come into a child's pose. Take 4 deep breaths here. This may be a good place to draw your arms down by your sides, going into a baby. Palms facing up. Reach your hands forward as you inhale. Rise up into a cow spine. And exhale, cat. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, downward facing dog, 3 breaths. Release the knees down towards the ground. And we're going to come down onto the belly. So walk your legs back and bring your belly down. Moving into Sphinx pose, elbows will be beneath the shoulders. Forearms parallel with one another, palms facing down. Draw the elbows back towards the hips and lift the chest. Draw the chin slightly up towards the sky without crunching in the back of the neck. If this feels like too much on your low back, then bring your elbows out a little bit wider and release the ribs down onto the ground. Creating this back bend from the upper back all the way down towards the sacrum. You might feel a lot of compression here in the low back. And again, if there is a pinching sensation or an intense burning sensation, then that's when you want to bring the rib cage down. Draw the shoulders down away from the ears. And here we're going to focus on smoothing out the breath. So taking big inhales through the nose. Exhale back out through the nose. Inhale through the nose. Complete exhale through the nose. 3 more. Inhale through the nose. Complete exhale. 2 more times on your own. Here, stack your right hand on top of your left. Bring your elbows out wide and release your head down onto your hands. You're just going to lie flat on the belly for about a minute here, just letting the low back settle. Send your inhales into the back side of your rib cage. Feeling the back body rise and fall as you breathe. Belly gently pressing into the ground every time you take a breath in. Lift your head, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, elbows squeezing back, and press into your hands into a child's pose. Take a couple breaths here. On your next inhale, rise up into your cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, neutral spine, tuck the toes. And exhale, downward facing dog. Take 3 big breaths here. As you exhale, bring the knees back down towards the ground. We're going to move into Swan next, which is the yin variation of a pigeon pose, if you know pigeon pose. From tabletop, we're going to bring the right knee up towards the right wrist. The left foot is going to be about underneath the left hip, unless you're feeling really flexible and you can inch it forward towards your left hip. We'll tuck the left toes and start to draw the left leg back. That left foot can come in as close to the hips as you need in order to make the knee feel comfortable here. Please take a moment right here and check in with your knee. If you have any knee injuries or if there's any pain in your knee right now, then please come onto your back and I'll show you quick into a figure 4 hip stretch with your right ankle crossed on top of your left thigh. If there's no knee pain here and you're feeling good in your swan, then the hips can start to release down towards the ground. That blanket is a great tool to place underneath your right hip here. This allows the body to relax into the shape rather than holding yourself up. Make sure that your hip is supported, either on the ground or on top of a blanket. And press into the hands. We'll start here by lifting the chest. So we're finding a back bend in the spine. That right foot can be, again, as close to your hips as you need. Mine is right under my left hip. But if you're feeling very flexible, then you can inch it forward towards your left wrist, whatever feels more appropriate in your body. So we're going to take a couple breaths here. Close your eyes. Feel the collarbones lifting, left hip coming down towards the ground as well. Maybe you can find more space and inch that left leg back a little bit more. And once you've found some really nice length in the spine, we'll start to bring the arms forward. Kind of crawling the arms forward, releasing the belly down towards the ground. And you can come up onto your forearms here. Or you can stack your hands and maybe bring the forehead down on top of your stacked hands. This is one of those shapes where the longer that you stay in it, the more you get to know how your body feels in the shape. So give yourself a few moments to settle in. And then over time, you may feel different places in the body start to release. Or you may feel that things start to become too intense, and that's when you want to inch yourself out. No matter where you are, whether it's in Swan or figure 4 hip stretch, we're going to be here for about 1 more minute. Notice if the breath became quick and short, maybe kind of shallow. And if that's the case, where in the body can you relax in order to find some more depth into the breath? Begin to come out by working up onto your palms, walking your hands next to your legs, pressing into the hands and drawing that right leg back into your tabletop. Here it might feel nice to extend the right leg, tuck the toes, and kick the right heel back for a calf stretch. Then bring the right knee next to the left knee. We'll move over into Swan on the other side. So left knee pulls forward towards the left wrist. The left ankle can be up close towards your right wrist or back towards your right hip. Then tuck your right toes and walk your right knee back, releasing the hips down. See whether or not you need a blanket on this side. If your left hip is all the way down on the ground and you feel pretty good here, then you don't need the blanket. If your hips are lifted, then fold the blanket to the height that you need and just place it underneath your hip for some support. Check in with your knee. If there's any knee pain at all here, even if you didn't do it on the other side, please transition onto your back for a figure 4 hip stretch instead. We're going to stay here upright for a few more breaths, drawing your collarbones up, lifting the chin. Maybe you can relax the right hip a little bit more down towards the floor. And now we'll begin to crawl the hands forward. Coming down onto the forearms, maybe. Or stacking the hands and bringing the forehead down on top of your hands. You may find that the longer that you're in this shape, you no longer need so much height in your blanket, or that you can remove it altogether. So feel free to adjust as you need. Let the belly be soft and the hips heavy. Please bring your attention to your breath. Notice how the breath is moving through the body. Can you lengthen your inhales and complete every exhale? We're here for about 1 more minute. Begin to press your hands into the mat, rising up. Tuck your right toes, bring the hips up. Left knee comes back next to your right knee. Extend the left leg back, tuck your toes, press into your hands to press the left heel back, getting a stretch through the back of the left leg here. Bring the left knee back down next to your right. Take a child's pose as we move through our flow. Notice how your breath is doing. Big inhale for cow. Big exhale for cat. Inhale, neutral spine. Tuck the toes. And exhale, downward facing dog. from your downward facing dog, we're going to come forward on the mat into a standing forward fold. So slowly begin to walk your feet forward towards your hands. Bend your knees as much as you need here. Bring the feet about hips-width distance apart, and you can measure that by taking 2 fists in between your big toe mounds. Bend your knees a lot here. Bend the knees so much so that the belly and the chest start to come in between or on top of the thighs. Relax the neck and the shoulders so that the head is hanging heavy. So in this standing forward fold, we're trying to release the low back more than getting a stretch to the hamstrings and the calves. That's why that generous bend in the knees is so important. Rock your weight forward towards your toes, away from your heels. Again, relax the neck, heavy the head. You can keep your arms down towards the ground, or you can grab for opposite elbows here. Kind of hooking your hands in your elbow creases. If it feels nice, you can gently sway side to side. And over time, as you hold this shape for about 30 more seconds, if you'd like, you can begin to straighten the legs a little bit, but not so much so that you begin to feel any pain in the low back. Release your hands down towards the ground if you had them hooked. Bend the knees. Bring the feet together. And to come out, we're just going to come into a squat. Weight in the hands. Bend the knees and just kind of curl up into a little ball here. You can bring the forehead down towards the knees. And take a few breaths here. Lift the head, walk the hands forward, and release the knees down on the mat. Going to move into toe pose. Keep the toes tucked and sit back on the heels. Make sure that your pinky toes are tucked too, so you might have to use your fingers to flick them into a tucked position. Knees are together here. Relax the arms down into your lap. This can be pretty intense for a lot of people. We don't get to stretch the bottoms of our feet a whole lot. If that's what's going on in your body today, that's totally fine. Bring your hands down to the floor and bring the weight a little bit off of the heels and more so into your hands. We're going to stay for about 1.5 minutes more. I encourage you to close your eyes and try to smooth out your breath as much as possible, especially when we get into these shapes that feel really uncomfortable. The breath begins to quicken. It's a stress response. So try to use the breath to get as comfortable as possible in this pretty uncomfortable shape. If it helps, you can count your breath. Maybe exhaling through the mouth now, releasing a little bit more tension. About 4 more breaths here. Rock forward towards your knees, place your hands down, come into a tabletop, and bang the tops of your feet out on the ground. Releasing all of that. So from here, we're going to drop the hips back towards the heels. Come into one more final child's pose of class. This child's pose can be any variation that you'd like. You can bring the palms together and bend at the elbows. You can drop the arms down by your sides, or you can just keep your arms extended forward. Press into your hands. Walk them back towards your body, so you're sitting up on your heels. And then we'll just shift the hips over onto one side, swing the legs out in front, and lower down onto the back. You can grab underneath your thighs here if you'd like to help lower yourself down, or you can use your hands behind you to come down onto the back. Once you get down there, stretch your legs long. Reach your arms up overhead. Find a full body stretch. Then pull both knees in towards your chest. You can bring in one knee at a time. Pull them up close. Then drop both knees over to the left. Right shoulder stays down on the ground. If your blanket is within reach, you can place the blanket in between your thighs or your knees, and that'll give some nice support to your low back here. You can have your right arm extended out, or you can cactus the right arm. Let your gaze fall where it feels most comfortable, either upwards or over to the right. Take about 4 more breaths here in your twist. Bring the knees back through center, taking your blanket with you. Shift the hips over to the left slightly, and then rock your knees over to the right. Left shoulder stays down on the ground. Take whatever arm variation you did on the other side, and let your gaze fall wherever feels comfortable. Take about 4 more breaths here. Remove your blanket. Straighten your legs. Bring your arms down by your sides. If you'd like, you can take that blanket and place it over your belly for some nice weight and support. It might feel really nice. You can also place a rolled blanket underneath your thighs for some low back support. Bring your palms to face up. Close your eyes. Release into your final Shavasana. Release control of your breath here, but continue to notice how it's moving in and out of the body. Release the jaw, heavy the head, heavy the shoulders, heavy the hips. I'll call you out in just a few moments. Begin to deepen your breath. Place one hand over your heart and the other hand over your belly. And track your breath as it moves, using your hands as they rise and fall. As you're ready, roll over onto either side into a fetal position. Let the belly be soft here, supporting yourself in this shape. Press into your top hand and rise up into a comfortable seat, leaving your eyes closed. Bring your hands to your heart, either pressed in prayer or stacked one hand over the other. We'll just take 3 more breaths together here. So please exhale all the air out of your body. Take a big inhale through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more deep breath in. Complete breath out. Drop your arms in your lap. You can flutter your eyes open. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this gentle flow yin class. Hope to see you again tomorrow on Yoga Today.